Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nurul binti ISMAIL. My metric number is 060645. In this video, my group members and I will present to you the topic from our report assignment, which is issues of Hilah, legal trade in Islamic financial products. First, I will start with the overview. Al-Hilah or legal trade is not an uncontroversial issue in Islamic law in general and in Islamic finance particularly. This is due to the main meaning of the concept, which is an action that uses one's wisdom or intellect to transform an illicit deed into a legitimate one. From our research, we discovered that when it comes to application of Al-Hilah, Islamic scholars are divided into two groups. The debate between the scholars is regarding the following aspects such as knowledge, motive, and intention before any act is committed. One group is adamantly opposed to the use of Hilah, while the others is cautious and hence give the practice contested permission. The scholars' main concern are the unjustified application of Hilah to oppose the maqasid al-Sharia. Scholars who criticize the use of Hilah argue that it degrades religious regulation and mock the law's divine purpose. Those who granted implicit approval, on the other hand, did so with caution. They examined Al-Hilah from the perspective of applicant ultimate goals. The application can be permissible or prohibited depending on the applicant's goal as stated above. Accordingly, Al-Hilah refers to inner reason. Actions are appraised in light of one's intentions. Next, the principle of Al-Hilah has been discovered to widely used in the Islamic finance industry as a way to circumvent riba-based loan. Some modern Islamic financial instruments, namely Ba'i Bisamin al-Ajil and Tawarruk, contain Al-Hilah. Now, let's move to the objective of the video, which are to learn the definition of Al-Hilah and its history, to understand the issue of Hilah, to see how relevant Al-Hilah in Islamic financial product and services, to evaluate the validity of PBA and Tawarruk, and the last one is to dispel some analysis skepticism about the legitimacy of Islamic financial practices. The structure of this video will be divided into 4 sections. The first section is the literature review, which explores the definitions of the term Al-Hilah, both literal and technical meaning, with the comment regarding them from Islamic classical scholarly and the history of Al-Hilah. The second section analyzes the research methodology utilized in the report, which is mainly using secondary data from the internet. The third section discusses our research findings regarding the issues of Al-Hilah generally and particularly the classification, the factor that made Al-Hilah acceptable, the application in the Islamic financial institution, and the legal and authorized method of Al-Hilah. Finally, there is a conclusion in the section 4.
In literature review, there are definition of Hilah and history of Hilah. Hilah is an action that uses one's wisdom or intellect to transform an illicit deed into a legitimate one. In Islamic banking and finance, the term Hilah refers to a legal trade used to dodge riba-based loan. Syekh Muhammad Ibn Ashur defined Hilah as one ability to intelligently portray or discuss an unlawful act in the eyes of Sharia and make it appear lawful without being noticed. According to Al-Asfahani, Al-Hilah is an instrument employed to attain a concealed aim. Ibn al-Qayyim, a prominent scholar who has written extensively on Al-Hilah, defined Hilah as mostly associated with the character in the quick, ingenious way to overcome Sharia restriction or prohibition to achieve goals wisely without openly violating Sharia. History of Hilah. According to Ibn Taymiyyah, the history of Hilah in Islamic context began after the first Islamic century around 700 to 740 after Hijrah. The application of the legal trade to conform with the legal system is not exclusive to one society. This legal stratagem has been employed in a variety of judicial systems throughout history. On the other hand, According to Malaysian Islamic banking history, Hilah has been around since 1983 and the first product to practice Hilah was by Bisama Azil. Prophet Muhammad SAW utilized Hilah in the form of Ma'rid, which is likely to be confronted with some sort of affliction in exchange for increased well-being. There is a famous story involving legal trick during the era of Prophet Muhammad SAW, which is when a guy who was being pursued by his tribe approached the Prophet for assistance and safe escape. The Prophet instructed the guy to continue on his path, and he shifted his seat and sat in different location. When the tribe come asking about the main location, Prophet respond, "I have not seen anyone traveling by this spot since the time I've been sitting here." During this, the tribe turned aside and changed their search strategy. Research method that we use to gather information is online research. It is because online research is easier and faster platform to gather information. This method also an effective and convenient way than traditional way, and it does not require face-to-face interview, especially during this pandemic.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Nurul bin DASRIL. My metric number is 060680. Now I will talk about our findings. Our findings have 4 sections. The first one is classification of Al-Hilah. The second one is the factor that make Al-Hilah acceptable. The third one is the application of Al-Hilah in Islamic financial institution. And last but not least is the legal and authorized method of Al-Hilah. Okay, first let's talk about classification of Al-Hilah. Through the research that have been done, the author find that scholars have divided Hilah into 2 categories, namely Al-Hilah Mahmumah and Al-Hilah Mahmudah. Al-Hilah Al-Mahmumah is a hilah that is forbidden because the way used to achieve the indicated purpose is bad or contrary to the Sharia. Meanwhile, Al-Hilah Al-Mahmudah is a legal trick which is used to achieve a legal goal and not contrary to the Sharia. Next, let's talk about the factors that make Al-Hilah acceptable. Hilah is acceptable based on 3 factors, which are the rural component, maqasid factor, and the mutual assistance. The first factor is the rural component. An Islamic mortgage is comparable to its conventional counterpart in the terms of borrowing and lending. The next factor is the maqasid factor that can be defined as any action that protects one life, religion, intellect, or property that serve the ummah as a whole. Last factor is the mutual assistance. The legal rules encourage fraternity among society's members. Let's move on to the application of Al-Hilah in the financial institution. In BBA Home Finance, a legal limit has now been utilized in the form of property purchase agreement and property sale agreement, which are clearly known as a civil procedure. The bank then purchases a product from the broker at cost and offers it to the customer at a premium. Last but not least is the legal and authorized method of Al-Hilah. When it comes to Al-Hilah, the objective is usually to commit the bank act through a legal or authorized method. Al-Hilah has been given 5 types of Sharia jurisprudence, which are permissible, obligatory, allowable or recommended, and lastly, contemptible, makruh. The eventual goal of the conduct, according to the Al-Hilah, is to break a Sharia ruling or requirement. Now we are at the end of the video where I will summarize the issue of Hilah in Islamic financial product. The present Hilah employed in Islamic financial product was already thoroughly analysed by Islamic scholars and found to be permissible since it complies with the Maqasid al-Sharia, which states that the advantages to the Ummah exceed the advantages to the individuals. Nevertheless, the implementation of Al-Hilah in some tough locations has sparked strong aspiration to put an end to it. Any trend toward emulating traditional items will not be tolerated. The implementation of Al-Hilah seems to have its consequences for the industry's image. That's all from our group. Thank you for lending us your ears and your times. Bye and Assalamualaikum.